What is going on, you guys? It's your boy, Dr. Cocter here, and we're back. Yeah, I apologize for my last video. I recorded the entire thing and then didn't realize that my editing software was, not my editing software, my recording software, OBS namely, was not recording at all. So you got to look at the title screen and a mouse hovering over like this for 55 minutes. So my apologies. I'm not too mad at the software, honestly. I think what happens is if I go into the game too quickly, so Minecraft doesn't have like a, as far as I know, at least, I haven't really messed around with this a bunch. I probably should. But they don't have like a borderless mode. So whenever I click outside of the window, because I have two monitors, so let's say like I go off the one screen monitor, it's going to close this, it's going to like minimize Minecraft, and if I open it back up and start recording in too quick of succession, then ultimately it will try to record my, it'll just screw up and record the title screen like it did. So if you watched that whole thing, you know, appreciate it. Took it like a champ. I mean, I feel like people that watch these don't even like watch. They just like listen. So that's fine too. That's why I still posted it, because part of me was like, why bother even having it if you're not gonna? But like, it's not really much of a, you know, there's videos that people post that are purely auditory, which I guess that falls into that category now. But either way, if you were someone that actually likes watching the video, you know, we're back with actual video content this time. So, you know, lucky you. Anyway, yeah, episode 20 of this series. Not really sure if to call it a milestone. You can't really go with milestones and this kind of stuff. You just gotta, I feel like it's easier just to get in the kind of this mindless groove of it, because you know, the moment you start making checkpoints, it can become problematic pretty quickly. You know, I don't know. I'm not gonna. Sorry, I have to like burp. I'm not gonna extend that beyond this either. I've tempted to, but I won't. Just for sanity's sake. But yeah. Something that I think is I mean, important, you know, what's important really, but something that is relevant, at least to many people's situation, including my own. I don't know, because there's always these certain things that, you know, there's things you want to accomplish, right? Whether it's in a day, a week, a month, your entire life, whatever time frame that you want to put something in, you know, or you're interested in accomplishing something. And ultimately, you tend to fall short of your expectations, or they're just, you don't have any expectations and you don't care. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't really relate as well to that mindset. That's like, everything's okay. I don't really care. I don't need to be doing anything. I'm just someone that always needs to be improving in some way. In some noticeable way, I have to be getting better, really. At least arguably, I don't have to like. It doesn't have to be clear cut, but I got to be doing something, you know, every week or month or some time frame to be moving forward, right? I can't just be in perpetual nothingness or just doing the bare minimum or something. Anyway, but I tend to accomplish less than I strive to. So, which is kind of a recipe for disheartenment. It's easy to fuck. It's you know, it's easy to be disheartened, I think, and which is what brings me into the important piece that I'm trying to bring up with all this. It's like momentum, right? So it's like you do one thing that is good, and it kind of is conducive to more, you know, I hate using like productive as the word, but it's probably not a bad, you know, descriptor, right? So you do one productive thing and it's kind of conducive to you doing more productive things. You know, So like, yeah, that's one thing, right? So like, let's just put it in an examples case. You wake up and you make your bed. You know, if you wake up and you make your bed, then you're more likely to make a good breakfast or something. And then if you wake up and you make your bed and you made a good breakfast, you're probably gonna, I don't know, get started on the first, I don't know, whatever it is. Like, you know where I'm going with this in terms of momentum. So that, like, I'm not disagreeing with that on a fundamental level. I think that's true. Where I think there's some variance and there should be more, not that there should be more, just that I'm bringing up this as a point of discussion. You only have so much self-control. And I mean that in a sense, it's like I only have a certain amount of will. Like I'm able to will myself to do something that I don't really want to do. So if I, let's say I will myself to something I don't want to do, I don't know, will myself to do, work for something, right? A work that I don't want to do, something boring, right? Punching numbers into a spreadsheet or something. I don't want to do that. I have to essentially, purchase from my own bank of willpower some willpower to get that task done, right? But then that leaves less to do other stuff, right? And on one hand, momentum plays into your favor if you're doing stuff that's good, right? Even if it does take willpower. So let's say it takes willpower for you to get out of bed and make breakfast or something. Let's hypothetically. That might leave less willpower in your day for, I don't know, punching numbers into spreadsheets or whatever it is that you don't want to do that you're going to have to summon willpower to do. But my take on this is that I think it really depends on the nature of work. And I think the willpower between different sections is different, right? So let's take my physical body for example, right? So on days where I'm on a good roll of momentum in terms of taking care of my physical body, right? So this is like waking up, sleeping, meditating, stretching, whatever it is that I'm going to do for my physical body, right? Lifting, eating right, like that momentum follows really closely on that. But on a different level, let's say that I wake up and I just start working on something, right? And I'm kind of getting one thing done, getting these work-related things done, jumping between, especially willpower demanding tasks that are physically demanding and mentally or even psychologically demanding. Because I noticed that meetings, especially meetings where I have to, not saying Zoom meetings just to jump on. I'm saying things that you have to lead or conversations you have to have with people that you have to, you could ruin something if you fuck it up type of thing. That also plays a toll in terms of my willpower, right? So let's say I had meetings with somebody where I had to kind of put on that nice corporate mask and talk about God knows what. I don't even know, honestly. But that also pulls from my willpower as well. Same as, I don't know, anything else, right? Same as getting up and making a good breakfast or whatever. I don't even eat breakfast. I don't even know why I'm using that example. But you're still kind of drawing from that bank of willpower. And I found it's really hard to kind of mix and match, especially having a perfect day all centered. I've had on days where I only have to prioritize, let's say I don't have anything important to do work-wise, right? It doesn't really matter what, I could spend the whole day prioritizing my physical self, which is lifting or doing whatever. I don't know. Whatever it is that I'd be doing that, eating right and doing everything right for my body. It's easy to just have a perfect day or ace the day, on that front. If that's the only thing I have to worry about. If I only had to worry about that, I don't think it'd be that hard. On the same kind of side of on the other side of that, if I only had to do work. I didn't have to worry about eating right. I could just eat whatever the fuck I wanted. I could not lift. I could just be a blob as long as I got this work done. That's also like very doable, right? It's not that hard. What the hell, guys? Come on, get through it. Fuck. You know, so it's like, I think the real challenge is in trying to do both. And that's where like I run into these problems of willpower, where I'm like trying to do both. Because it's dangerous to do both. I think it's like if you just become this jock meathead and you're just like going to the gym and like all you care about is going to the gym and like, you know, treating your physical body right or something. And it's like, okay, well, you know, at a certain point, you have to, there's other stuff other than the gym, right? You don't have to just prioritize. But I guess what the fuck is this jackass doing? Hey, what are you doing? Okay, you're done. But you know, so there's a mix. You have to like, you know, you have to live in the mix, right? But that's where it really challenges your motivation to like do stuff. And it's not, it's never. I don't ever blame anyone's like, oh, well, you're just not driven enough. Some stuff that like you have to have willpower to do, right? Especially I think there's definitely periods in my life where willpower has waned so much. I quite literally don't want to do anything. I want nothing required of me. Literally nothing. As much as I might want it for myself or my career or whatever it is that I'm doing this for, what I would really like to do is nothing. To not do any of this. I don't care how good it is for me, right? And so I essentially have to summon willpower for like even like the most menial tasks. I still have to like conjure up willpower, and that's when this discussion becomes really apparent. When is I can't. It's not like I'm not doing stuff on autopilot because it's easy and I like really want to do it anyway, right? It's like I don't really want to do anything, but I should be doing all of it. So then you really have to pick and choose. You can't do it all. You have to pick, okay, well, I guess I'll prioritize my physical health and goals like these 2 days, and then the other couple days I'll be doing this, you know. And then one day I'll just, I guess, try and prioritize my emotional health or whatever it is. I don't even know. That tends to be an easy one to ignore. It's just, you know, your more philosophical, deeper desires, because I feel like that's also the hardest to really grab onto, right? I don't really. At the end of the day, I think you're really lucky if you know exactly what you want out of everything, right? And especially, maybe I'm just indecisive. That might just be the person I am, but I always like to be thinking I'm making the best decision when ultimately I should just be making any decision really, and not. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's a really hard discussion and thing to quantify. Is like, especially these bigger, longer term decisions. But ultimately those are predicated upon your day-to-day decisions, right? So your decision to be someone who is in shape is is predicated upon your daily, maybe your daily routine of going to the gym or not going to the gym, whatever it is, that however you're going to stay in shape. It doesn't have to be going to the gym. There's a gajillion ways to get in shape, in today's day and age. So it's not like you have to. Come on, guys, get down there. But I don't know, especially in times like now, I feel like I'm finding it hard to have a lot of that natural motivation. All my motivation is just willpower that I have to exert, right? And that it just is hard when you have to exert willpower versus things just coming naturally, which is what you wish, right? You wish you would just want to do everything that you actually want to do all the time, right? Otherwise you would do that, really, because you do what you want to do at a given time, and it's just most of the time you don't want to be doing whatever it is that you know you should want to be doing. Does that make sense? It probably doesn't, but so let's say something's better for you, but you just don't do it. It's like, well, why? Well, it's because you don't want to do it. you want yourself to do it in the way that, oh god, this is confusing. You want yourself to do it in the sense that it's something that you want for yourself. Maybe it's just like you don't want to put the work in or something. Which I realize that might sound like, oh, you don't want to put the work in, you lazy piece of shit. There's some stuff that's like, it's not worth putting the work in, so don't bother, right? So that's just like a, kind of a cost-benefit thing with that. So it's not like that's like there's stuff that I don't do because I don't want to put the work in because I think it's stupid, right? Like I think it'd be fun, right, to be a really good, like artist or something, right? Being able to draw really, really well. I think that'd be really cool. But I'm not going to put the work in because I'd rather be doing something else right now. Maybe if I'm ever fortunate enough to where I could do that, I can afford to, dick around essentially, for lack of a better word. And be a really, really good artist, and like maybe I will. But ultimately I can't afford that luxury right now, so I don't. So and it's not like, oh, you don't want to put the work in, you're lazy. It's because, I don't really want it. Like, I don't want to put the work in for that because it's not worth it, I don't think. Which isn't a bad thing. That's fine. There's not enough time or enough exertion for you to do everything that you actually want to do, right? So you just ultimately have to pick and choose. And I guess the analysis paralysis of picking what's worth the work for you can oftentimes lead to people just doing nothing, myself included. And like, fine, like if you want to be let's say you really do want to become a good artist, you're willing to put the work in, whatever. Okay, where do you start? I don't know, maybe I'll buy a book or a drawing book or something. Okay. But then like, there's just a lot that goes into that. And especially if you're using up your willpower to do like your obligatory tasks. So if you have, a job or schoolwork or people that you're obliged to, if you have kids, you can't just say, fuck you, Jimmy, I'm gonna draw today. I'm not taking you to school. What the hell? You gotta take Jimmy to class. You're his dad. You have to. Otherwise, you're a shithead. So you have obligations. You can't just ignore that for your dreams or whatever. If you're dreaming to become an artist, whatever it is, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's tough decisions, and oftentimes I find it's easy sometimes to just do nothing, which is probably the worst thing you could do, right? Even if you're like not sure what to do, best advice is to do something. But for me, that's the hardest, just because I'm such like a cost-benefit analysis person that I have to really think about what's something to do. It's like, no, it doesn't matter. You have to do literally anything. Just like start doing something. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be the dumbest thing ever. It's like, well, I don't want it to be super dumb. Like, no, like it has to be dumb. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for me. That's why I put it on here. Because there's things that like I know I should do. I know but again, summoning that willpower out of nothing is sometimes a challenge that's fit for a king. Or not, kings are probably the lazy ones, so that's probably the wrong language. But you know what I mean. It's it can be pretty tough. So anyway, just my thoughts on that. Yeah. So momentum is really important, and it feels like it's impossible to have everything under wraps. So like maybe if you're hitting the gym consistently, or whatever it is, you could be a biker or something. You have to be doing something to stay in shape. I think everyone kind of agrees with that. Like doing nothing to stay in shape at all is like you're actually an idiot. But doing whatever it is that you choose to do to stay in shape is like up to you. There's no like, you can discriminate. If you're not a gym bro, you're a loser or something. Like, to me, that's stupid. To me, I think that's really dumb. But you have to be doing something to stay in shape. Like nothing is just not. that is stupid, in my opinion, and the opinion of most doctors. So if you're not on something, like if there's not any kind of physical exertion or simulation that you enjoy doing or whatever, then it's I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I have a hard time relating to that as a problem of people that just can't. They don't do anything to stay in shape. It blows my mind. How you could not do any kind of physical exertion, so any kind of physical exercise, and then like eat 3 meals a day and not be like 8,000 pounds. I feel like first of all, if I ate 3 meals a day, I think it's just too much. I feel like the food industry has just lied to us all. 3 meals a day is a lot of food. It's a lot of because I mean, I feel like it takes me like 2 hours to like feel normal after eating, just because it's such a, your body has to like totally like forget about everything it's doing and just start digesting all this food you ate. I mean, I guess it's different if you eat small meals. I guess I just really eat one big meal, so that's why it's probably such a bigger deal for me. If I ate more often, it might not be the same. It might be 30 minutes of a little sluggishness before you get back into it. But 3 meals a day, I just feel like it's a lot. And I'm someone that thinks better when I'm fasted, so I tend to fast more. But even that, if you no exercise and 3 meals a day is a lot to not be fat. You must have a really good metabolism if that's the case. I don't know. I mean, I think that's like a personal thing. I just grew up in a way that was very conducive to exercise. Other people do not quite have that luxury, but it's got to be something you just got to figure out. I mean, I'm sorry if you didn't exercise as a kid, but figure it out and start doing it ASAP. Anyway, I don't know. The point of it having it all under wraps is tough. A lot of the times you just kind of have to pick things to prioritize and be okay with going backwards sometimes. Which is not fun to do, but sometimes is necessary, I guess. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. Here's the next thing I want to talk about. This is gonna be so stupid. Social media. I'm very much. The sentiment in a lot of my videos has been social media is this boogeyman. Not social media, technology. But I want to zone in on social media today. That's what I'd like to zone in on. And I'm not going to get all the way through it today because it's kind of a loaded topic. But as a man of science, I'm trying to weigh the pros and cons of social media use, and I think it's fair, right? What's wrong with that? And in my view, and I appreciate any kind of discussion on this, the cons of social media, and this is pretty much every platform. Regardless of how you're going to argue against this, I think it's universal across all the platforms, with very, very, very few exceptions. The cons just so strongly outweigh even the potential pros, because the pros aren't even pros half the time. They're like potential pros, or what the advertisements give you as the pros, which is a totally different thing altogether. But doing the cons and the pros, it's maybe does everyone that heavy usage, and I'll kind of put that in quotes just because that's a nebulous thing to define too, heavy usage, or even moderate, mild usage, whatever. Obviously everything in moderation is not dangerous. I'm not saying spending 10 minutes or something on Facebook or TikTok or whatever it is, whatever app that is, it's your poison of choice. I'm not saying 10 minutes is what the problem is, but for those of you that are going to make the moderation argument, right? I'm just speaking to a hypothetical audience. I'm not trying to like actually pick fights with anyone, because I think it's just an interesting topic to discuss altogether. So it's like, oh, I only use it a little bit, just to like get my mind off things or something. Have you actually looked at the usage, and I've noticed myself doing this even in other interactions with people, right? Because I feel like this always pops up. This might just be something I like talking about, but I'll tend to be like how much time do you actually spend on your phone? Like, have you looked? Have you looked how much time you spent on these? And so, if you feel like the days go by fast, that's the first place to look. First of all, how much time am I spending on my phone? Because that, unless it's you directly calling or talking to somebody or something, the other time spent on your phone is time that is straight into the toilet. I'm not sure. I'm sure maybe if you're building some kind of business off of your phone or something, but you're not. I can almost promise you you're not. You're just mindlessly consuming something, right? And yeah, maybe it's comforting. Fine. Tally it up in the pros column. It's comforting. Whatever. But I think I want to zone in on one particular con here that, and again, there's a lot that I could go down, but I'm going to zone in on this one just because it's the one I kind of thought about today. I thought about imposter syndrome and really, in a larger scale, the role that just confidence plays in everyday life. Because I took an exam today, so this is where my head's at. If my mind seems garbled, that's probably why. I took an exam today, and I feel like, and this is transcendent of any industry or problem or whatever, confidence goes a lot farther than you think. So, I kind of, I think everyone maybe has this. I don't know if it's for job interviews or exams or whatever. I also had a job interview today, so it's also another thing. But you have this, I don't know, hype music or something whatever might get you in this kind of infallible, grandiose attitude, right? Which is important for any, especially for something like a job interview or an exam. You got to feel like you're the fucking boss. You could be literally homeless. I don't care. And look like an idiot out there, feeling like you're the boss or you own the world. But it helps so much. What could they ask me? I don't know, right? I know I'm the genius. I know everything. So I thought about just the utility of being internally grandiose, but then humble, of course, because that's the one problem is that I feel like confidence is not generally doesn't exhibit itself as being something that's normally distributed. It's something that is, some people have way too much and just need to stop, and other people have nothing, and those they need to be more of an aggregate spread, right? Where if you're someone who tends to and I think the way that I try to approach things is always I've said it in the last video, everyone's an idiot, everyone's stupid, everyone doesn't know anything. And yeah, that should be, I think to me, that's an internal mindset. Is it yes, there's so much I don't know, I have so much to learn, I don't care if I'm 100, I don't care, whatever I think I know, just don't make any strong, fleeting assumptions, go in with this humble mindset. And that's a mentality, but it's also a conversational tool, right? Is to not feel like you know everything, or and to be externally grandiose, because those people are cocksuckers. No one likes them. The other side of that, having just this, I guess this blind confidence that. I guess this more internal kind of deep-rooted confidence that you're the best, or you're capable, you deserve way more than you have, or something, or whatever it is. I don't know, however you want to phrase it to yourself that helps you sleep at night or whatever, regardless of whether it's true or not. Again, it's probably not true. The exam today I took, yeah, I probably was not there's most people in that class were probably more prepared than I was. But, I walked in and I sat down and I was like, you know what? Everybody in here is so stupid. I am going to absolutely ace this test because everyone around me is dumb. This is stupid. You know what I mean? And like, I was just like, kind of giving myself this little pep talk. Now, what's the reality of the situation? The reality of the situation is, maybe I could have studied for 50 hours and like been more prepared in actuality. But I was going to make up for not my lack of preparation, because I still prepared, but my inferior intellect. I was going to make up for it by just this very inflated sense of confidence. I think it's even more important in something like a job interview, right? So you kind of go in there and there's this like already unspoken power dynamic, like, oh, you need a job? It's like, okay, loser, like, this guy needs a job, doesn't he have a job? What a loser type of thing. I mean, like, oh, who am I? I'm the hiring manager, right? I decide whether you have a job. I have to decide whether you're worthy, right? So then you're automatically in this like defensive position where you're just trying to like, kind of fend off attacks or like justify your experience or whatever it is, or, give good answers and not sound like a fool. And, in my mind, I think it's better just to flip the script. Like, I don't need this fucking job. Like, I'm better than you. I should have your job, right? And obviously that shouldn't be reflected in your answers, right? But I think the attitude, the deep-rooted attitude, again, it shouldn't be detectable by anyone, including, especially not the people interviewing you, but this deep-rooted, like, deep-rooted attitude of, like, you're better than this. Like, this is, like, you're just having fun or something like that. The stakes are low. You're better than whatever it is. I don't know. But just having this very, very, this grandiose internal, not image per se, but this mentality that you're better, and you're not really on the defense. And I guess bringing it back to social media, because that's what I was originally talking about here. I think social media just really does a number on people's like internal confidence, because again, it comes back to this like proverbial measuring stick, because the measuring stick's now, a millionfold what it was. And, it's so easy just to, again, pull out the measuring stick. You have one. It's in your pocket. And, just look at how big of a piece of shit you are, because this person is better than you in every conceivable way, right? And I think because I've gotten off all the major platforms. YouTube's the last straw. Half it's because I keep making these stupid videos, and it just gives me an excuse to scroll and watch videos. But it's because it's hard to make videos and not watch any, right? I just have to like basically post and like exit out of the browser. But in getting off most of the other ones, especially where I see like friends, because the people whose videos I watch, I don't know them. They're not my friends. But like I'm not ever really. Half the time I don't even know what other people are doing. I don't really care, because I want to preserve my like inner sense of confidence. Because the moment I begin to like see what other people are doing, I think one reaction is to be like, what? Like, that guy's an idiot. Or, how is a person, how is all this good things happening to them? It's not fair or whatever. The other thing is just to be like, well, I guess they deserve it. They're just better, whatever it is. Either way, it's like, it's not a net positive. Like, you don't often, like, how often are you going to see somebody, let's say, like, I don't know, one of your friends from high school that you didn't really know, but like maybe you kind of knew them or something. They like, post engagement pictures or something of them and their like smoking hot girlfriend or something. You're like, oh my God, that girl's beautiful. Whatever. Like, that guy's an idiot. This is bullshit or something. Like, you're not going to leave that and be like, oh wow, like, I'm so happy for this person I barely know. I'm so glad his girlfriend is beautiful, right? Like, no, you're always going to leave that situation feeling like a bag of shit. And maybe on the other side, maybe fine, let's assume maybe it's possible that you'll see a friend and be happy for them, whatever. What's the likelihood? Like, what's the percentage difference between, let's say, I'm going to pick 40 of your random friends, right, that all get engaged within a week or something. In terms of their impact on your confidence, your internal confidence, you think every single one of them you're going to be like super happy for? Inevitably, some of them are just going to be like, you're just not going to care. So, okay, you're wasting time. Or is going to have some kind of negative impact where it's like, and I'm not going to this isn't just about like them getting engaged. I don't like that. That's, at a lot of points in your life that's terrifying and is stupid or something. I'm saying really about anything. Like maybe, what if it's like a LinkedIn post where they're talking about their new job, right? Jerry got a job at NASA. How the fuck? Jerry's an idiot. Like, this is bullshit. Versus like, oh, I'm so happy for Jerry. He's so deserving. He's, he was brilliant, whatever. Like, what percentage do you really think you're going to be happy for and like glad you saw? Whereas even internally, it's going to, do some amount of damage to your self-image, your confidence, or whatever it is. And even if it's not even about people that you know, what if it's about celebrities, right? And just, even because I think part of the reason celebrities are all famous on these things, I mean, they're obviously celebrities, but it's nice to fantasize about these like problems, the problems that they're having. They must be like so much fun to worry about, instead of like the problems I have to deal with, right? My problems, I have to pay rent, or I have to, I don't know, feed my dog or something. I don't know what problems people have to deal with. Again, I established this in the last video, but like, oh, how fun it would be to deal with the problem of like, how to spend Facebook's budget, right? I wonder what problems Elon has to face, It would be so nice to, have his brain and be solving his problems, right? So I guess it's just something that's nice sometimes for people to fantasize about that, which I'm not necessarily shaming, but I mean, maybe I should be, because it's, again, do you think that's really healthy in terms of like, that's healthy for you? I mean, I just, or if it's a good use of your time, like what if you, I don't know, were doing anything else that wasn't, I don't know, maybe if it's, just depends on the way you see things, I guess, but to me, it never seems like it just doesn't seem like the cons always seem to outweigh any of the pros with social media apps like that, and I just, more often than not, it just has a detrimental effect, or at least a net negative on everything else, like your time, your self-perception, your confidence, your but I don't know, I guess in some ways it's comforting, or it's just mindless, and because people today are subjected to such sorry, taking a drink of liquid water, it's nothing else. People today are subjected to much more mental exertion than maybe unless you work in like physical labor or something, but I would reason to believe that you're involved in less physically intensive labor and more mentally intensive labor, right? Where you're thinking and having to problem solve. And I think the draw of social media is that you don't have to do any of that. No one's requiring anything from you. It's a passive exercise, right? You're just kind of, letting things show up, and you just kind of respond to them in a very elementary way. So like the idea itself is again, it is very comforting, and it's understandable. I don't think I'm speaking in haikus here when I say that there's not some draw to it, right? I mean, obviously there is, and it's but I think the argument of saying it's like, oh, it's it's good to get to see what my friends are up to and like meet new people, like that's all bullshit arguments. Like the reason you like it is because it just gives you something passive for you to do. It's not asking anything of you. It serves you things that are comforting to look at and see and fantasize about. It's essentially like it's a very less active form of like reading and daydreaming, or doing something like, the arts, or things that used to be a lot more interactive, that are our ways of shutting off at least one part of our brain, which again tend to be really ignored now, because I don't know, I don't think it stimulates any real good part of the growth of your brain. It's just kind of sitting there and letting stuff being served to you, and then responding to it or not. Like no one's, because it's one thing to like watch a YouTube video for a class, and then you have to sit there and you got to talk about it, right? Oh my god, you got to like think and like oh, what drudgery, I have to think about the problem now. Versus if you're in the privacy of your home consuming some kind of content, nobody's requiring you to think, respond, articulate, really do any of that. That is the whole reason you're doing it. The reason you're doing it is because you don't want to think. You're tired of it. You want to do nothing. And you want it to be passive. It's got to be a passive process. So, you got to be thinking about other, because I guess what I'm trying to do here is just to have only active processes where I actively have to be doing things. And unfortunately, I don't think anyone really is wired to be doing active things all the time, or they're like never just kind of, just letting things happen, right? They always have to be producing content, or, not just consuming things, So, is there forms of passive consumption that is productive? Because again, you could make the argument, oh, well, I watch, I don't know, coding tutorials or something. Fine, okay, let's say you're watching Discovery Channel or something about saber-tooth tigers or something, whatever it is. First of all, you're not going to retain any of that. You never have. Again, because it's an active process. In order for you to retain the information, it has to be an active process of you engaging with it and thinking and trying to learn. The whole nature of it is that it is oh shit! I just burnt my crafting table. Is that it's passive and you're not thinking. So even if you're in some ways that's just your kink, is that it's educational, right? And you can just say, oh well, I enjoy. My mom, for example, enjoys listening to podcasts of people talking. And I promise you, she doesn't remember most of the podcasts she listens to because it's a passive process. It is not like my mother engaging and talking and thinking about, the interesting problems that the people on the podcast are talking about. No, it is a mindless, passive procedure, and she is just sitting there listening. In the same way, you're just mindlessly, you don't remember the last 40 videos you watched, or, whatever it is. The whole point is that it is a passive process. And that's why people like it, is because there's so much that is being asked of you, whether it's at work or whatever, I don't know, wherever it is that people are demanding things from you. The reason you look to something like a social media platform is that it's not asking anything from you. It just wants you to sit there and just kind of look at it with this lifeless look. Whatever look you give your phone is what it wants. And I think that's the draw. But I think too many people are trying to ignore the fact that it's a passive process. They think it's like they're learning, or they're I listen to podcasts because it's engaging, or I listen to audiobooks or something. And I'm not saying you can't engage with an audiobook. That's fair. Maybe you're on moving up the spectrum, but to argue that it's this, very productive activity that is, bettering you in some way, that, is actively bettering you in some way, I think is false. But not to say it's a bad thing. It's not like I'm trying to say that, all forms of media consumption are bad. Otherwise, I'm part of the problem. Obviously, I'm creating. This is precisely what I'm voting against right here. I'm voting against my own interests. But my point is, I think, at least being aware, right? I think there are times and points where I am it's almost like I'm getting dessert. I'm ordering dessert. I'm going to eat dessert. If you had to give me a straight up question, hey, is this healthy? No, it's dessert, you idiot. That's why I'm ordering it. I'm indulging right now. I think if we viewed it as more of an indulgence, more of dessert, versus trying to justify it as something else, which I see too often, I think. That's where I disagree. Where I'm not going to say there's any kind of otherworldly problem or something. I would make it a bigger deal than it is, but ultimately, I disagree in the sense that it's some unalienable right, or some it's my just helps me relax, or I guess in some ways it is being argued that it's an indulgence, but people don't view it in the same way they'd view ordering pizza or ordering, or drinking a soda or something that should be a luxury, right? It should not be a focal point, right? If you're spending 6 hours, the equivalent of eating pizza, that's not healthy, right? How many times should you have pizza? How many times should you have dessert? I don't know. Once a week, twice a week, right? Twice a week. What's the equivalent of that in phone usage? That might be an interesting conversion, right? I don't know. Maybe it's 20 minutes a day, and I think it's easier because then you get to the point where it's like, you're either gonna spend 4 hours binging YouTube content, or you're going to, not look at it at all and just go cold turkey, which is where I think it'd be easier, right? It's like asking you to take one bite of cake. One bite. Why can't I? One bite, really? I don't have, that's it? I don't even want the bite. It's going to be harder to eat. It'd be easier if I just didn't eat any of it. Which I guess is my point. Is that it is probably easier just to ignore and not do any of it, versus try and just use 30 minutes a day of LinkedIn or something. But even that, I'm not even sure if people know how little they don't enjoy social media, right? So even if it's not if you're gonna eat cake, you're gonna enjoy the cake. You like cake, it's good. You're looking forward to it. You can realize that you're indulging. But I think there's even a percentage of online consumption that you don't even enjoy it. You're just doing it it's a compulsory nature. You're just you're not even eating the McDonald's burger or the cake because you're looking forward to and you want the cake. It's just because you just you've gotten used to it. You're expecting it. Your body is gonna withdraw without the cake, really. So then you're just kind of mindlessly consuming the cake, and it's that's obviously unhealthy. Everyone can see that, right? But wouldn't that same logic apply to something like social media consumption? To where now it's almost compulsory, right? Because I see people on the subway or something walking around. They're just they're scrolling. They look miserable, right? It's like if you're eating cake, you just have this dejected dead look on your face. Smile, you're eating cake, right? So it in my eyes, it's more of the argument to just don't stop eating cake. Just if you're not going to enjoy it, don't eat it. Don't try to make it about, it's, it helps me connect with people. Bullshit. Zuckerberg really helps you connect with people. Really? I feel like anyone that you want to be connected with, you've already connected with, or you're just never going to talk to. So it's not like you're maybe if it's your first time using Facebook, you might see your old high school, buddy or something once. Other than that, you're not. The argument that it is keeping you connected, I think, is full of shit. That's bullshit. You're not keeping anyone connected. That's a blatant lie, in my opinion. So I don't know. That's just my take on it. But either way, it's a whole thing, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not even sure. I don't even know what crossbow enchantments even are. I'm just doing it just because. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a problem. More people should view social media like a piece of cake. You should either really enjoy it or you shouldn't use it at all. So I guess I ask you, while you're watching this video, are you enjoying it? Are you kind of trying to actively engage and kind of be in the moment of you eating this cake, and proverbial cake, of course, Or you enjoy, maybe is my voice, a positive, comforting voice? Is it realistic to you? Or are you just doing this out of compulsory nature, right? Because you subscribed and you're now a loyal subscriber and you have to, abide by that, or, you've been so used to watching, this amount of content per day, and you don't know how else to fill your time. Anyways, I'm incentivizing my very, very few watchers to just stop watching and go do something productive. Again, I think that's just as a toxic of a mindset. But I think I invite you to be present when you eat your cake. And the next time that you're indulging in something, acknowledge its indulgence, right? Acknowledge you're at a birthday party. You're going to enjoy the beer, whatever you have, or whatever, birthday cake, beer, whatever it is that you want to plug in there. That's what I mean. And same with, I think you should view social media consumption in the same light, right? So if you're going to watch my videos, make it something that you're going to either, actively engage with and create a competing podcast and try to refute all my points on, or, try to really sit back and enjoy it, right? I don't know. And if it's something that it helps you wind down, and it's a nice little, brain stretch for you, treat it as such. Be present. Don't make it mindless, right? Make it a mindful thing, right? Be present in the moment of you listening to whatever the fuck I'm talking about, right? And importantly, get frustrated about whatever I'm saying that's wrong, that you disagree with, and leave a comment about it or whatever. I don't care. It's saddening to me that I look around and I see so many people, so many peers, just kind of, even miserably looking down at their phones about, on these otherwise, I feel like I sound like a hippie right now. These otherwise like wonderful pieces of technology that are, in no better way of phrasing it, just kind of this brainwashed like sludge of just blah. Like, I think it really hit home today when I was on the subway and I was just looking down, and you could see kind of by the thumb action of what people were doing. Like swiping is kind of the de facto visual cue for that someone's on a social media site, because their thumb is swiping. Either it's up or swiping across or whatever it is, they're swiping, and that really to me tells me that they're on a social media app. Dejected looks, right? And it's all around. I walk off. I'm on the street, dejected. Like there's not any amount of like this indulgent nature with that consumption. It is purely just this dead look of you're not even enjoying it, right? And it's not, it's not healthy for you, right? Especially from the confidence perspective. So I don't know. Try to engage more actively with your content, or be more selective, right? So to put it in the context of desserts, since that makes the most sense, if you decide, like, pick 2 or 3 of your favorite desserts, and don't have dessert unless it's going to be that. Don't just eat dessert because you have it, regularly, right? If your favorite, like my favorite dessert is cheesecake. So if I'm going to have dessert, I'm not going to have carrot cake. I'm not going to say carrot cake's bad. I like cheesecake. That's my favorite dessert. If I'm going to indulge, I'm going to indulge in, like, I'm going to get a cheesecake and I'm going to really enjoy it. I'm not going to have like this, I'm not going to eat it just because it's, it's there and it's like accessible and like, yeah, it's still dessert, so I'm still going to enjoy it. It's just not my favorite. Like, no, like truly sit down and enjoy, engage with, and really savor the dessert instead of just eating it because it's there. All these cookies, I'm just going to have 4 cookies just because, cookies are good. They're not my favorite. I don't really like them that much, but I'll eat them. It's like, no, don't eat it, or eat what you really want. I'm not saying to like. There's obviously a whole other section of this having to do with drugs. I'm not saying to like do the hardest drugs because okay, don't bring it into that. Don't extrapolate it into that level. That's a different discussion entirely. But in the context of dessert and of social media, treat it like a slice of cheesecake, right? Enjoy. Leave me a comment if you enjoyed. Leave me a comment if you enjoyed this episode, like a slice of cheesecake or whatever your favorite dessert is. Actually, just let me know what your favorite dessert is. I don't know what's your favorite dessert. I like cheesecake, plain old cheesecake. I don't like anything else on it. I just like cheesecake and then water. I don't know. That's my thing. Anyway, see you next time. Peace.